Hello, year four. So this week we're going to be moving on from decimals to look at money. Now, this is a really nice jump because actually the way in which we use decimals actually helps us with understanding where money comes from and the decimal notation of money. So we're going to look at that in more detail and use that as our basis for understanding what we can do and understand about money. So we'll start with two relatively simple questions, but you might need to think about them in slightly more detail. So the first thing is the first coin that we've got here. What is the coin and what's the value in pence of this one coin? Then it asks us what this note is and what the value of the note is. Have a think about this. Have a look, pause it now and try. Okay, so let's look through this and see what we can work out. So what is this coin? And as you can see on the coin, it actually says £1. This is a £1 coin. What's the value of this in pence? Well, what we are using is we're using base 10 when we're thinking about money. And the value of a pound is 100 pence, which means for every 100 pence we have £1. And we can link this back to when we're thinking about hundredths. Every 100 hundredths we have one whole. So we can see straight away a link between our decimals and fractions and money. Every 100 pence we have £1. £1 is our whole and the pence are our hundredths. So we can show that and I'll explain that in a minute. Then it says, what is this note and what's the value of it in pence? So what we've got here is a note, a £10 note, which means we have £10 coins worth in a note. So how we talk about this and how we think about this in the value of pence, every one of those is 100. So what we have to do is times that 10 by 100. So we're moving it 2 spaces on a place value grid. So £10 is worth 1,000 pence. So if we were to write that down, we have £1 here, £1, and that equals 100 pence. Whereas if when we're looking down here, we have this being £10, which is the same thing as 1,000 pence. And what you can see here, this is 1 times 100, which is 100, and this is 10 times 100, which is 1,000. So when we're converting between pence and pounds, the trick is to times or divide by 100. We've got 2 trays here, each with an amount of money in it. All I want you to do is add up how much is in each tray so that we can tell that we actually can use money. Okay, so if we go through this, and we'll do this as easy as we can, what we need to do is we split apart our pounds and pence. It's probably the easiest way to start thinking about it. So looking in our first tray, what we need to know is which one of these here represents pence and which ones represent pounds. So the pounds we have are these ones here. We have a £10 note and a £5 note and a £2 coin. So in total, we have 10 plus 5 plus 2, which is £17. Okay. We also have these coins here left over. These coins all relate to pence. So we also have 2 5p's and a 2p coin. 2 5p's are 10p plus a 2p is 12p. Okay. We come down to the second one down here. Again, we need to split them into pounds and pence. These £2 coins and this £5 note are our pounds. So we have 5, 6, 7 pounds. And we have this many pence, which is a 50 pence piece, a 5 pence and a 1 pence. So that is 55.56p. Now I'm going to show you the next thing, which is how we represent this as a decimal number or a decimal representation of money. And this is actually how you normally see it. Rather than being split into pounds and pence, we normally see it as a decimal representation. And the way we see it is what we're always given it is as pounds. We state how many pounds we have, so we have 17 pounds, and then we put our decimal point in. Now we know that that 12p is 12 out of 100, which means it's very much like how we would write our hundredths for our decimals, which means every 10 hundredths we have 1 in the tenths column, and for whatever we have left over, it goes in the hundredths column, which is 2. So 17 pounds and 12 pence is 17.12 pounds. The same can be said for the second one. How many pounds do we have to begin with? And we have 7, and then we have 56p, which is the same as 56 100ths, which is the same as 5 tenths and 6 hundredths. Okay, so we've thought about them in terms of how we show it as a decimal monetary value. So we've actually got the decimal monetary value here. We've got 7.76, £7.76. We can then use our part-whole model to take away, or to split into 2 parts, the pounds part and the pence part. Kind of giving you a hint already. See if you can work it out, and then we'll go through it. Okay, so like I said, 7.76 pounds is the same as £7 and 76 pence. And we can see that here. There's the 5, there's the £2. That's been taken away up here. That's just £7. You're left with a 5, a 1, a 20, and a 50. 50, 60, 70, 75, 76, 76 pence. Okay, our last thing for today before you get your questions is to try to convert between pounds and pence. This is quite important when we're thinking about comparing money, which is what we'll get onto in our next lesson. But it's something that we need to be able to do now. Quite simply, if you've got pence and you need pounds, all you have to do is divide by 100. Going the opposite way, if you've got pounds and you want pence, you times by 100. What are the things we need to remember to do this? That's the direction that we're going in. If you remember on our place value grid, we are moving it one direction or the other. If we are timesing, the numbers are moving in that direction. And if we're dividing, the numbers are going in that direction. The other thing we need to remember is how many jumps we do on our place value grid when we're moving them in the direction we want to go in. Remember, timesing or dividing by 10 was 1 jump. Timesing and dividing by 100 is 2 jumps. Now, this is a good rule of thumb, and also it shows us a very quick pattern. 10, 1 jump, 100, 2 jumps, 1,000, 3. Remember which direction we're going in. So if we know this, if we're going from pounds to pence, we are timesing from pounds to pence. If we're going from pence to pounds, we're dividing. So majority of these are this direction, so we're going from pence to pounds, that is dividing. The other way is timesing. Have a go, try these ones out, see what answers you come up with. Okay, so I've set up where I'm going to work out my answers. And what I've got is the questions down the side over here, but also I've got my place value grid over here, including tenths and hundreds, because I know they're going to go there. With this, and the information we have on the screen here, we should be able to convert these between the pence that we have into the pounds that we want. They're going to be equal, so in each case we're going to say they're the same as, and they're all going to be converted into pounds. So I can straight away put the pound sign in so I know what I'm doing. The step I need to make, the first thing I do is I put the amount I've got in pence into my place value grid. So 560 in the tens column and 7. Then I know I am going from pence to pounds, which means I'm dividing. So I'm going in this direction. And because it's from pence to pounds, it's by 100. So I'm doing 2 steps in that direction. So I take my 7 and go 1, 2. My 7 comes here. I take my 6 and go 1, 2. My 6 comes here. And I take my 5, 1, 2. My 5 goes there. Put my decimal point in. I've got 5.67. So my answer is £5 and 67 pence. We keep going. Do exactly the same for the next one. 507. 2 steps. 1, 2. 1, 2. Decimal point back in. 1, 2. The 5 goes there. Now we have to leave this 0 here because we've got a significant number after it. Remember back to our decimals. So the number should be written exactly as it was on here. £5 and 7 pence. 0, 7. Next one, we've got 57. Place it in. So our place value grid. 57. 5 in the tenth, 7 in the ones. Going to do exactly the same. 2 steps. Still dividing by 100. That hasn't changed. 2 steps to 7. Goes to there. 2 steps to 5. Goes there. Put my decimal point in. And then remember, we always have to have something in our ones column. So we must put that 0 in there. So if we were converting 57 pence to pounds, it would be 0.57. The next one down, we've got 560 pence. We are converting into pounds. We do exactly the same thing as we did. And we move 2 steps. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Put the decimal point in. Now here's an interesting thing. When we're using decimals, this 0 we wouldn't have to write in because this isn't significant. There's nothing afterwards. But with money, we always need to have both our tenths and our hundreds because that tells us exactly what that value is. And this is one of the defining differences between money in decimals and decimals as a standard. So how we would write this is 5.60. Okay, so here's our first set of questions. Use what we talked about today and see whether you can come up with the answers for these. First one is just looking at how much money is in them and what is different about them. Secondly is talking about actually thinking about how we put that together as a decimal fraction in the end. Then some which are, we're looking at the amounts that are equal, so it's a bit of converting for you. And the last question, just a little bit of one to think about, to have a little bit of a play with. Upload your answers to Tapestry and I'll see you in the next lesson.